they can share their testimony and hopes that you can grab a piece of it as inspiration. And as the weeks stack up, you can stack up those pieces and build them into a nice little puzzle and carry them along with you. But today, I brought on a special co-host with me today. So let's go ahead and bring on the co-host. His name is Jerry Wald. What's up, Jerry? Let's go, man.
You know what? I'm doing terrific. Thank you for having me on. Just so, in case some people don't know me, I had my stroke 2010. The 10 years, sorry, if I'm talking, things go out of jumble. Yeah, well. But yeah, 10 years ago. And you know what? It is what it is, and I love it. Things are good. And Mark, thank you so much for having me on. Really, you're my good friend. I appreciate it. So thank you.
Hey, no problem, man. You know what? You're a good friend of mine too. Jerry also hosts. Jerry, go ahead and shout out share.
Yeah, right. I host a show called Let's Talk Stroke on Tuesday and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Time. So love that you all come out there and visit me. It's featured on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, every social media site. So
broadcasted all over the place. Boom. So without further ado, we have our guest. Her name is Susan Margaret. Boom. Hi, Susan. How are you?
How's it going?
It's going. How about you, Susan?
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Glad to meet you.
Awesome. Glad to see you too. Hey, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the community, Susan?
So I'm Susan Balling. I had a major stroke 6.5 years ago in Dallas, and they discovered I had a hole in my heart.
Okay, so when you let's not jump into that quite yet. So let's discover who Susan is, or Susan was first pre-stroke. How about we do that, Susan? We want to know a little bit more about Susan. So if we were to go and ask your best friend, and we were to say, "Hey, who was Susan? Like, what was Susan like?" What would they tell Jerry and I? They would say, "Hey, you know what? This is my best friend, Susan, right here." What would they tell us?
Well, I worked at this director of mission with the chaplains in a hospital in Butte, Montana, in Minneapolis, and my children are. It's complicated for me with a puzzle. You know, I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Okay.
I moved to Washington, D.C., Minneapolis, via Paris, Butte, Montana, Newark, Delaware, and Dayton, Ohio. So lots of things. Ex-husband and I got married 30 years ago. My 3 adult children, Charlie lives in Chicago. She's 33 years old. She's a bartender. And my son Jordan lives in St. Paul. He's a teacher. He's 29 years old. And my daughter Ken Rose lives in Grand Marais. She's a singer and she's 24 years old. She works at the hospital. And my husband and I got married 10 years ago in St. Paul. And I moved to Butte, Montana, director of a mission, got the job. I worked 2 years.
Wow.
And I resigned, got the job, Portland, Oregon. at the hospital, huge complex, and my husband resigned, and Bill and I were visiting in Dallas, and I had a major stroke. I like variety. I worked as a stockbroker. I worked also sales trainer. I loved the trail sales trainer. And I was an intern, resident chaplain, and I'm smart. 3 master's degree, board certified chaplain, and
What were your 3 master's degrees in?
Master of Art, Education Administration.
Wow.
Bachelor of Art, Human Services and OD, and Master of Divinity.
Wow.
I love education a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that that we have in common. I myself went back to school after my stroke. I liked it a lot. I probably would have continued going, but I couldn't get past calculus 2.
Oh, yeah.
It was too freaking hard. I thought I was really good at math until I got into calculus, and it was just too difficult. I was like, yeah, I want to continue, but I can't. This calculus is too hard. You know, and I mean, because you were a pilot, right, Jerry?
Yeah, my big thing was math. I mean, I had to learn that. So,
Wow.
Susan, talk about your ministry.
Yes. Well, 20 years ago, my friend and I went to the book club, and my friend and I were, the book club cloister, and we drove to the St. John's Abbey in Collegeville, and I just don't know. I was crying. I'm Catholic, but I was really afraid with the Catholic Church, and I don't know, the monks, I like the monks and the nuns, and it's just like, I don't know, it's different for me. I'm really private. I like religion, and my brother and their family are Buddhist, and my son is very meditation oriented, and it's, my ministry it's prayer, and I like contemplation today. So I was meditating 30 minutes, and I light the candle with the incense, and I'm solid. And I like the administration, and I like the chaplains. They're very thoughtful and kind, and I studied a lot. I board certified chaplain, lots of paperwork, autobiography, and Mike and I talked about with the board certified chaplain, lots of ethics, Master of Divinity. Oh, what else? Evaluation, lots of topics. So my board's in 3 people, and I talked 3 hours, and it's really, really hard, but I just like the clients, and hospice and my ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. That, like you're alluding to, that's a important aspect of who you are, your life, and that's something that you cherish, and that's one of the things that you know keeps us whole, makes us wholesome, and that's great. Many of us, we sometimes we strive to look for that, we search to find it, and some of us don't find that, and it's great that you found that. Yeah.
And tell you what, I was a free spirit as well. I'm silent, but I get that. Really get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So you're saying, right, that you guys, it was you and your husband, right, that decided you were going to go on a vacation to Texas, right?
Yep.
So do you remember that? Yeah, Jerry's from Texas.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you remember that specific day?
Yes.
What were you guys doing?
Bill and I were eating supper, and we went to the hotel, and Bill and I talked, and he was sleeping, 10 o'clock, and I was writing my journal, and I was sleeping, and I was throwing up, no headache, and he said, you're okay? You're okay? And I said, and Bill said, let's try 911, and yes, and then blanked out.
Yeah.
It's I remember the emergency tech, and I remember the guy, and I remember with the elevator, Bill drove the car and the ambulance, and I remember I was awake with Bill and the doctor, and then I flew to the helicopter in Plano, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Plano, Texas Institute of Stroke, top notch. Thank you.
Sounds pretty top notch to me.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Right. So, have you heard of that hospital, Jerry?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Is that where you ended up, Jerry?
Well, I went to St. David's when I had my stroke.
Okay.
Which is another one. Yeah.
Another top notch hospital.
Yeah. There's a lot of top notch hospitals here in Texas. Like Texas, it was its own country at one time, or wanted to be. Okay, I had a stroke. I don't remember, but right, Susan, help me out here, okay?
Come on, Jerry. Come on.
Yeah, where's your husband here?
Okay, so they airlifted you to the hospital, right?
Yep.
And then you get to the hospital. Do you remember anything once
Yes.
you get to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it was my voice is completely done.
Oh, wow.
I was mute.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated, and I remember my right droopy face was blurred, or what's the Jerry, or
Droopy,
and my right and left.
Like,
Oh no! So 1 moment. right and limbs.
Yeah.
It was kind of paralyzed
Okay.
3 days ago. And I remember I was mute. And it's just like, but 2 days ago, or 2 days, the doctor, Bill and I talked, well, Bill and the doctor and me, and they discovered I had a hole in my heart.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
Yes. And I just remember speech therapy, occupational,
Yeah.
and
Before we jump into that, so you said that you were mute, so that means that you had a form of aphasia, correct?
global.
Global. That's what I thought. Global aphasia. And Jerry, would you be able to describe for the audience what global aphasia is?
Well, I mean, it's typical. There's so many different types of aphasia, but the global aphasia is one that you can. I mean, just like all of them, you know what you want to say. When we're thinking, right? You're thinking of, I know what I'm going to say. It either comes out wrong, right, Susan,
Yes.
or it just doesn't come out. And I know exactly how that is, because even with mine, people probably think, well, he doesn't sound like he's aphasia. But seriously, I mean, I mean, just tonight, I'm talking to Barb, my wife, and I'm talking to her. She turns over and says, "What did you say?" I thought I said it right. It didn't come out like that. So sometimes I think it's okay, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you just have to, well, for me, I just deal with it. I just blow it off. 10 years ago, you know what? It's okay. I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
And you are speaking so well, Susan. You really are doing a great job.
Yes.
Thank you.
I agree, Susan. You're doing fantastic. Yes. So they discovered you had your hole in your heart. Now, what was the main focus when they discovered you had the hole in the heart? Was it the stroke or was it your hole in your heart?
Well, the clot with my brain,
That was the main focus.
with the brain, and um, well, after that, I was a patient 10 days ICU. So we were done. We flew to Butte, Montana, and I had a small grand seizure in January. So, and we went to the hospital, Missoula, Montana, and the doctor, he's so, I like her, and they discovered, I got surgery with my heart. The floppy disk,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
septencer, septer is floppy,
Yeah.
and
That controls the blood flow type
yeah,
deal. Yeah.
and I remember the doctor with the groin camera and the tiny prick
The catheter.
catheter. No, um, no, yeah,
Stent.
yeah,
I know what you're saying.
yes, can't
Yeah.
camera and with the I don't remember the tubing,
Yeah.
small tubing, and the doctor. I had surgery.
Yeah.
Mm.
Close my heart.
Yeah.
So, but it's really difficult for me speaking, and I was a vibrant, talking, senior, but I'm gonna be okay.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Now, so Brooke wants to know if you were able to get the shot, the clotbuster shot.
Bill was sleeping 10:30, and I was throwing up 2 or 3 a.m. And the doctor and Bill decided he's a little worried. 3 hours, and it's
Too much time. Yeah.
3 hours. No, it's just like it's up and down, and my heart it was. I don't know. Perhaps high blood pressure, perhaps. But I was so excited, got the job, and I don't know. But
yeah, it's honestly, it's probably a good thing that you didn't get the shot, because then they're able to discover that you had the hole in your heart, because essentially you probably would have went to the hospital, realized you had the stroke, got the clotbuster shot, which would have thinned out your blood. You had the hole in the heart, would have probably led to further complications. So,
I was 50 years old.
No, stop it. You look
I
like
am right.
30. Come on, Susan.
Oh my gosh, I'm 56 years old.
You're younger than me.
You're younger? You're older.
Yeah, to me,
Right?
you are.
Well,
I really, just like Mark said, no way. I remember we talked many, many times. You look wonderful.
well, thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, you do.
Thank
Now,
you.
so now, so you had the stroke, then you went in and you had the surgery, right?
Yep.
So you come out of the surgery. What happened next? What happened after you came out of the surgery?
Well, speech therapy, my husband, we studied my husband's speech therapy. I'm done with the occupational, but we were walking every day, and I remember, okay, flash cards, lots of flash cards. September. The square.
There you go.
4.
There you go.
A.
There you go.
Z.
Yep.
I'm determined. And Bill studied a lot. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So.
And.
Yeah.
But I was really sad as well. And I went to the doctor. I was so bored. And I went to the doctor, and I talked, I'm a little sad. Would you mind prescription, please? I don't. Oh, sorry.
Please stop what you're doing and
Oh, goodness gracious. I know. My phone.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It said, please stop what you're doing.
It's like, sorry. Oops.
No.
I'm a chaplain, but I like cursing. Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, good.
Oops.
Right.
I don't remember. Oh, we studied a lot.
Yeah.
And Bill, we sold our house 2 years. Well, back up. 4 years ago, we sold our house. We moved to Newark, Delaware. And my husband was born in Newark, Delaware. And I signed up University of Delaware Star Campus. And lots of, I like the speech therapy a lot. So we worked and worked and worked. But I was bored, of course. And my dog, he is a mini Labradoodle. And my husband and I trained her with 7 years ago. And I was thinking, I will volunteer with a chaplain, and I train her. And I forgot what the pause per people. Kiva, my dog Kiva, and I went to the pause per people, Newark, Delaware, sign up, and we're graduated with the pause for people. And Kiva and I were volunteering in Newark, Delaware, and the speech therapy and the hospice therapy. I remember talking, and my dog and the client or patients, they're dying, and it's like, and I was kind of sad, and I checked with the computer speech therapy, and I called Bill Connor. And I said, help, I don't know what to do. And we Zoomed 3 times per week, 45 minutes. And it's free, thank goodness. And I just remember subject, verb, object. I was getting better. And I was volunteering veteran hospital, no Kiva, my dog Kiva, but I was volunteering with the coffee. Hello, how's it going? How's your for example, how's your military force or whatever? How's your health? I'm so sorry, what happened? So repeat, memorizing. My practice is simple, memorizing, and just like, and Bill, well, lots of topics, but so we moved again. We bought our house in Dayton, Ohio, 2.5 years ago. But I'm getting better. Bill Connor and I Skype, and the students, 3 students and me, speech therapy. And I was studying Sinclair Community College. The semester is poetry of intro of poetry. I graduate. I what's the term?
Pass.
A with A. Oh my gosh. Subject, verb. I'm sad, or the birds in the sky. That's great. And I was thinking, let's try photography. Why not? Black and white photography lab. The students are very, very young, and they're vibrant. And I was talking, what's the term with the chemicals? Or let's try with the filming, roll the film. And I bought the tripod and negatives, and it's fascinating, but I'm talking constantly. And then I volunteer, of course, Ohio Hospice, and also volunteering Kittering Memorial Hospital, but unfortunately, no volunteering. But I will work. I will volunteer sometime, but I'm exercising. Thank goodness. I was a little chubby.
And that's definitely, especially during this time with COVID, you sit home and
oh my gosh,
you're at home, you're locked inside, and that it's one of those things, you're like, I think I'm gonna go get a snack.
COVID 20.
Yes, and Brooke Allen and John Hoomers and I signed up. I'm exercising. I bought my used bike. So excited.
Nice.
I ride spin cycle.
Okay.
30 minutes. Yay.
Nice.
I'm exercising 25 minutes, 25 sit-ups.
Wow.
And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 85 sit-ups.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a triathlon 15 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love variety, and I'm curious, and let's try with the triathlon. I like swimming and running, or I like swimming. I like bicycle, but I cannot stand running. But
wow.
You should check out, connect with Tommy Lunetta right here. He does a lot of that fitness stuff that you like to do. Connect with him. He's all about doing that type of stuff, and he holds a lot of those things, and he does a lot of that fitness stuff. So you should probably connect with them, and he'll help you out with that too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, hey, Susan, again, maybe you can tell people what kind of deficits you have right now. Are there any deficits from your stroke?
Oh, yeah, with my stroke, that I'm speaking kind of.
You're doing great.
Well, my writing is really difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will write my book, but my editor, her name is Katie. Katie and I spoke in Bloomington, Indiana, 1.5 years ago, and she is a editor, and Katie said, "Come, let's go. I will write, and Katie will edit it." And she's like, I don't know what to do. I was born Bismarck, North Dakota, or my stroke, but I'm going to try every day, 1 hour per day, every day. So I'm going to try my goals. January 1, I'm thinking vision board. I will write my book every day, 1 hour, regardless. So this.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
So with your aphasia, I know that it's kind of like it's hard to the jumble. There's kind of like a jumble sometimes with your speech, with your brain to your speech. Now, do you have that with your writing? Like when you try to write? Because I know sometimes that can happen as well.
But I'm scared.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I like papers. I like the philosophical, and also with the ethics, lots of text, but my reading is very kind of low. Well, 50%. reading, but I will try. So today I spoke with the Toastmasters today, and I my speech is solo vacation.
Nice.
I was typing. I love Cape Vacation. My mom, dad, my brother, and I camped out every year. We lived in Bismarck, North Dakota. My memorizing, which is really difficult, but I get it. I finished 5 and 6 minutes, and the winner is best speech ribbon today.
Woohoo!
Hey, nice.
It's just repeat and practice, and it's just like Jerry too. Deficits. I'm a little afraid with my writing and reading. I'm gonna try reading every day, but it's really difficult for me. My books are 4 books. It's kind of huge books, 4 bookshelves, philosophical and ethics and poetry, quilting, but I'm determined.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing, that's the only way to be. You have to have the right mindset going into your recovery. If it's not there, it's going to be much harder to overcome those obstacles, especially when you have, a down day or a down day or two.
Oh
If
yeah.
you don't have the right mindset going into it, it can turn into a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, and you know so when you go into do you find it what when you have your aphasia, do you find it more difficult when you're coming into the speaking aspect, the writing aspect, or the reading aspect?
Well, reading, writing, speech, I'm not sure. I think number 1, writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm journaling today, September 10, 10. I am listing God. Lots of shot cheese, right?
Yeah.
Shot cheese. It's things. And my son Jordan was visiting, and she's like, my journal. I love my journal. I remember. I think my mom gave this to me. I was 13 years old. Lots of journals. It's lots of journals, but I'm constantly journaling. But I'm sad or happy, or I am listing God, or something else. My husband and I were visiting to Cincinnati, and my friends and I talked about my journaling. It's shot cheese, but meal meat, but not so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay though. I'm good.
And just like anything else too, whether you say that you're journaling constantly, which is, freaking fantastic. You're supposed to it's obviously it's therapy because you're continuing to do it all the time. So do you notice, have you noticed, especially too, because you're writing it, so have you noticed like you're progressively getting better as you're continuing to journal?
Yes, every day.
Nice.
Well, 4 years ago, I was really sad. We moved to Newark, Delaware, and my stuff, we were minimalist 4 years ago, and when we bought our house, we're comfortable, and I was really happy 2.5 years ago. But it's progress. I'm practicing constantly. I like the Facebook. I love Facebook. Text all the time. I like my dog Kiva and Bill and I walk, and the lots of neighbors. How's it going? How's it going for you? Happy holidays. How's the market? Or it's just like I'm talking.
Yeah.
I think so. Kind of 75%, perhaps. And it's relative. It's relative.
Yeah.
You do talk so well, Susan. You talk really good, and I'm proud of you. How you, even from the last time I talked to you, really improving so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bill's so proud of you. When I met him, nice. You're both just beautiful people.
Well, thank you. I like my husband a lot. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think if you're living under the same roof, that's always a plus.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we divorced many years ago, thank goodness. But my husband, he was a bachelor. That's great.
Yeah.
We're good, really good.
Yeah.
No,
Good for you.
no.
What else?
So, what is so we have Susan post-stroke, we have Susan's recovery now. What was how you said you have how many kids?
3
3 kids.
adult children.
3 adult children. How did it impact your children when you had your stroke?
Well,
And your surgery, I should say too, as well. Should add that in there.
so we moved to Newark, or we moved to Butte, Montana. My children are gone. Ken Rose, ex-husband and stepmother, lived in Wisconsin, and Jordan studied in college, and Charlie worked she was working, and Charlie and Jordan flew to Texas, and they were scared.
Yeah.
And Ken Rose, she was young. She was 16 years old.
Oh wow.
And they were scared, really scared, but I'm a warrior, and I was driven, and Jordan was crying. I mean, he was 22 years old, and he was working part-time job, and he was studying, and lots of anxiety. And Charlie, she's fine, but primarily my son was really worried. but I text. Well, I think Jordan texts me. I think I think I think my husband called my mom and dad, and dad called Jordan and Charlie, perhaps. Then so, but it was really difficult. But Jordan texted, and he flew to Christmas. Well, 5 years ago, and he's graduated, and I drove to, well, that's Jordan graduated 6 years ago, July or June, and Bill I had a major stroke September, and he was working Master of Art education, speech education, and I drove, for me, in May, 18 months. My children are very important, very, very private, but I'm kind of tongue-tied. I love my children, but very, very private. But Jordan, he's fine. Ken Rose, I drove to Upper Peninsula, North Shore in July. Jordan and Ken Rose and I got together, and I drove 1 year ago with Charlie. Charlie and I talk, and we're fine, but
Yeah.
very private. Sorry, it's really complicated.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So essentially, at the time when you had your stroke,
Yep.
your kids, they're fairly young. I think you said 16 and young 20s, right?
Yep.
So essentially they're fairly young. They're extremely scared for you. And then from what it sounds like, it brought everyone closer together.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. And but they're very strong as well. My children are biracial,
Okay.
African American, Caucasian.
Okay.
They're very strong and independent, as do I, and they're very kind, and it's my children are precious for me.
Yeah. And as they should be,
Mm-hmm.
and we go through, I can't attest to this because I didn't have my stroke when I had kids. This is more along the lines of, for Jerry and you, Susan. We go through this traumatic event, and it just doesn't happen to us. It happens to the whole family. And especially when it's younger kids involved, they're so impacted by what's going on around them, and they sometimes when they're super young, they don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have necessarily the people around them to exactly tell them what's going on. And even when they're 16 years old, that's still even kind of a young age for someone to step in and tell them what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like they had a fairly good support system around them. Yeah, to keep a straight and narrow head on their shoulders and be there and support you, Susan, which is amazing. And Jerry, do you have any final thoughts for the community?
For me, I just want to say that I know it's tough when you first have a stroke, but I know maybe it's easier said than done, but never give up because things do get better. And we're all here as a community. We can all always reach out to somebody if they're feeling down and out. I'm here. I know Mark is. And Susan, I know you're there too. We can help each other. So please feel free to reach out to any of us because it does get better. I know how hard it is. I've been there. So I know exactly how this all works. Trust me, I know. So thank you, Mark, for having me on here. And Susan, always good to see you too as well. You're an amazing person. You're a thriver and
Yes.
you speak better and better every day I talk to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jerry, and Mark, too. Thanks a lot for everything. I'll tell you what, I like the people, aphasia or caregiver and stroke. I'm so thankful to be alive. And my friends, my peeps, you're big peeps.
Do you have any final thoughts for the community, Susan?
Always move forward. Practice, practice, practice.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And kind of goes along with what both of you guys were talking about. We walk through life. We have inspirations and aspirations for our life, and we all of a sudden, our life gets thwarted or stopped because we have a stroke. Kind of out of nowhere. And you know and it's up to us to pull ourselves up off the ground and decide, hey, you know what, my inspirations and aspirations that I once had for my life, they can still be achievable,
Mhm.
or I can set up new inspirations and aspirations, better inspirations and aspirations for myself.
Yeah.
And you know what? Shoot, I am a firm believer that everything freaking happens for a reason. You know what? I believe it 100%. You know, um, you can take it for what it's worth. Some people don't like to hear that. I believe it. I believe it, and I've said it multiple times. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't have the amazing wife that I have, the 4 beautiful kids that I have now if I didn't go through this. So, it's up to us. We have to have the right mindset to pick ourselves up, to dust ourselves off and push forward. Continue on this journey we call life and reach up and capture our dreams, capture our hopes, capture our desires, and hey, never give up.
That's right.
And as Jerry's shirt says, strive for greatness. Go get it. Do work. And I end all of my shows with the prayer, so let's get to it.
I'm ready.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for providing me with a platform and putting it in front of me so that I can continue to bring on guests that you put in front of me to share their testimonies so that they can provide inspiration, motivation, determination for those that seek it and need it to put it into their lives. And I continue to ask you that you can help those that need it and I ask you that you can continue to bless those that are in our community, not only in our community, but those in the world today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Boop, boop.
Amen.
Hey, if you aren't already subscribed, subscribe to my channel. For those that aren't there, let's go ahead and do a shout out to all those that attended. For those that did not leave a comment, shame on you. You need a comment. Shout out to Sherry. Shout out to Salute. Shout out to Brad. Shout out to Mary. Shout out to Alexander Garmin. I don't know why it's logged in like that, babe. Shout out. Alexander is my son's name. Shout out, who is 4, but apparently whatever. Shout out to Sue. Shout out to Brooke. Shout out to Tommy. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to Paul. And shout out to George. And shout out to John. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. Jerry, Margaret, I appreciate you guys so much for joining me tonight. And everyone else here, I expect to see you guys next week. And everyone else, you need to bring 2 friends in order to come, or you're not invited. All right.
That's right, Mark.
All right, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Thanks a lot.